Hey everyone, welcome to New Way Health Podcast, where we explore topics to enrich your total well-being. Today we have a very special guest, Chef Roberto Cruz, and he is a private chef, but today I really wanted him to come on and talk about his signature spice blends because you guys, he created them to keep us healthy. So welcome, Chef Roberto.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Yes, at the time we're recording, it is November 22nd.
Yep.
So we are on the verge of Thanksgiving here. Um, you know, I love the fact that you decided to dive into the spice blends, particularly being health and wellness coach. That means a lot to me. But tell us a little bit about your background. Like, why did you even become a chef?
Kind of stumbled upon becoming a chef. I've always liked cooking. It was always fun for me. I was always great at it. Um, what happened was I was a contractor for a little while and I injured myself. So I was looking for a new way to make money and be nicer to my body. And while I was looking for an art school, I was looking for an animation school because I love to draw and stuff like that. That's where I thought I was going. And I was looking to do video gaming or cartoons. And then Le Cordon Bleu came to me with an email and I took some money out of my rent and joined up at the school and never looked back. It's been a great life ever since. And that was in 2001. So it's been 25 years of a
Wow.
lot. Yeah.
Wow. So you really got inspired when you heard about cordon bleu then. That was the key is but I understand like when you get hurt and you see the physical toll on your body, you start thinking, okay, what else can I do? Yeah. Yeah. So recently, I'm going to just do a little bit of bragging on you. Recently, you got an award and it was from Creative Loafing Best of the Bay for 2024. What does this mean to you?
It's a huge surprise. I'm flattered. I'm honored. I was voted by Tampa Bay, so like five or six cities voted me as one of the top chefs and caterers, and we ended up at number two as a number two caterer in the Tampa Bay area, which we're super proud.
That's
And
incredible. And
thank you.
that's you guys listening, that is not easy if you don't know that. So,
There's a lot of great food out here, so I'm flattered. I'm really honored that they chose us.
yeah, that is so good. I know I was a finalist for as far as nutritionist and health coach, so I was really excited just for
Yeah,
that. But to be chosen best of the Bay, that's fantastic. So kudos to you.
you
Yeah.
as well.
So we've known each other about a year, and it was Dr. Mara Kevin who originally introduced us. And I was like, gosh, interesting. He created spice blends and they're really for your health. So of course I needed to get some in my hands. And finally, you guys, we kept up with each other and finally recently I got a couple blends. Can I tell you a little bit about my experience?
I would love that, please.
Okay. So you guys, I chose because he's got many, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. But I chose the two that I felt I could use the most, right? And I do love cheese, even though cheese doesn't love me. However, Parmesan, many of you know, it's nice to use that type of cheese when cooking because you don't need that much to actually be really flavorful. So I chose Chef's signature blend of the citrus Parmesan. All right, so here it is right here. And when I opened it up, after I got it from you, I opened it up and I was like, oh my, the fragrance, like what the work you do to make sure these are the freshest ingredients. I could tell, like, because honestly, you go to the grocery store, and I hate to compare you to this, but you open up like I'm not going to even say a brand because I don't want to bash them, but you
Huh.
get something from a regular grocery store and you open it up and you're like, is that what it is? I can't really quite tell. You mix it up, you're like, okay, sort of smell the aroma.
I,
Yeah. Yours were immediate. Yeah. So I love this one. I'll talk about this one first and then I'll tell you the other one I got.
okay.
So I played around with this. My first dish was a sautéed broccoli, and I like to actually put some avocado oil in a high heat pan and then put the broccoli in there. And then once I take it off, I like to sprinkle hemp hearts on there, and I decided to use some of this. Oh my God, it was delicious.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that was with broccoli. I didn't even use it on chicken yet or anything else, right? So after the broccoli, I decided to do some steamed. I was like, let's keep going with the green, right? So I did some asparagus similar, except I steamed it, drizzled some olive oil over it once it was done, and then finished it off with this. Uh,
Lovely.
right? And then this is like my favorite so far, which by the way, I just realized I'm supposed to be keeping this in the refrigerator. So
It's a common mistake to write it on the packaging. Yeah.
it does. It says right on the packaging, you guys. So just make sure you read that on this one particular. But then I used it on some chicken, and I'm thinking about actually doing. So I did some chicken, but I'm thinking about using my air fryer. So tell me what you think of this. I thought maybe some, like actually dredge it or just coat it with some olive oil, and then press in some of this into the chicken and air fry it. What do you think?
I think it would be delicious depending how you control the temperature on that. It could cook the Parmesan before it cooks the chicken.
Yeah.
Parmesan to something else. If you want to do like a crushed nut kind of a topping or something like that, you could do a macadamia nuts, almonds. You can mix.
Ooh.
So you could do a gluten-free panko,
Okay.
something with two just to give the chicken time to cook before um, the Parmesan does.
Okay, that is a really good tip because that's what I was doing with some of the other stuff. I'd wait till the end and sprinkle it on. I haven't really like cooked with it yet. It was always a finishing, right? So hopefully you guys got a lot of that just now because I just did. I'm glad I didn't try it yet. It probably would have been burned, right, on the top.
And burn it would just give you a different flavor profile on the Parmesan. You would get more of a toasted Parmesan as opposed to the aromatic bouquet of the lemon and the Parmesan coming through.
Yeah. Okay, nice. And it's so good. So tell our listeners what is in this besides the Parmesan I've been going on about.
So it's a dry Parmesan, and then we have fresh orange, lemon, and lime zest in there. So just to give it some kind of fragrance and just to round it off a little bit. It gives you a little bit of the citrus and the sweet and the salty all together. So it's a nice rounded flavor.
Nice. And what other things can we use this with? What are your tips?
If you love to make sauces, I do. If you like a mac and cheese, it makes an amazing bechamel. You can do a citrus Parmesan bechamel. So a
Ooh,
mac and cheese that's got lemon and lime and orange flavors to it is great for a cookout. It's
okay.
um, What else can we do with this? I've used it to grill shrimp before. So it's
Mm,
like you've done, but on a high heat with something that cooks quick. The Parmesan will cook at the same time as the shrimp, so that's a great way to use that.
okay.
And then roasting potatoes. I love it on potatoes or stuffing coming up. We have Thanksgiving right around the corner. Mix that in,
Yeah.
mix citrus Parmesan, and it's just going to make your stuffing taste out of this world and just smell incredibly nice.
Ooh, that sounds really good. I'm going to go back to the bechamel sauce because, it's the time of year that I typically will allow myself a little bit heavier things, comfort foods for the month of December, right? And I know a lot of people are the same. They might start a little earlier, but wouldn't that be awesome? Like to make a nice sauce like that, put it with some gluten for me, gluten-free pasta or whatever you want, whatever your choice is. I think I'm going to try that. Great tip. I love that. So the
Uh,
other one I want to highlight here is the poultry rub. Okay, so this is the poultry rub here. So far, I've only used it in one dish and I really liked it. It gave it so much flavor. And again, you guys, I opened this thing up and I'm like, it is so, so fragrant. I don't even need to like put my nose there actually. I open it and I can smell it from here. So that is a big deal. It's the freshest ingredient. So I just want to really commend you on, having that. What I used it was I just actually added it to ground turkey and made ground turkey patties. I like to get ground turkey a lot and I'm experimenting with different things. And then I chopped up some Granny Smith apple, like I peeled it first and chopped it up and put that in there before making the patties.
oh,
And it was delicious. I don't
sounds
know.
great for the fall too. I love that.
Yeah, so I liked that. Now, what do you recommend just to give our listeners some tips on the poultry rub? Obviously, poultry is in the words or in the name. So tell us a little more about that one.
Another use besides the poultry we have in our cookbook, Foods with Benefits that came out a couple years ago. We did a burger with it. We did a turkey burger with it. So we use that a little bit of smoked salt, just a very little bit because it has some lemon salt in it already, and that gave it a nice different flavor, especially with the turkey, very complimentary. But again, with Thanksgiving right around the corner, this is something if you're melting your butter to rub onto your turkey, this
Mhm.
herb that you would drop into the butter itself. So get your butter warmed up and melted. Take a little punch of that, throw it into your butter, and then get underneath the skin and rub it, massage it underneath the skin. You'll get the nice crispy skin, and the herbs will stick to the flesh itself of the turkey and flavor everything up.
Nice. Did you guys hear that? Underneath the skin, we need to massage it so that it stays nice and juicy and the flavors are there. Yes, I love that. And this one, so I'm going to highlight some of the ingredients here. So we've got the oregano, sweet basil, parsley, rosemary, garlic powder, Spanish lemon flake. salt. Is that salt separate from the Spanish lemon flake? That
So this is a naturally occurring sea salt that's harvested by hand off stones, and
okay.
it's infused with Spanish lemons.
Got it. Okay. Wonderful. So it's really good. You guys just trust me on this one. I would think anyone would like this, and it's especially like, I don't know, kind of like the Mediterranean diet. If you're going for something like that, this would be a really good one. Um, and here's the thing. I love that you have this labeled up. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you label these? The name is Spice Care International Blends. Before we tell them where they can find them, because they're going to want to get these as holiday gifts and try them out for themselves. But tell us a little bit about, like, you must have it must have taken you forever to get through all of the qualifications of being able to get all these labels on there. To tell us more about that.
It's been a long process. We started originally during COVID. This was a way to get our food to people when restaurants closed down. Everything shut down in 2019, and catering shut down, food trucks shut down, restaurants, the whole thing. So we had to find a way to get to our customers and get good food in the mouths of everybody. And so we came up with this. During my 25-year career, I worked in a lot of restaurants with dietary restrictions, international travelers and guests and things like that. So we had to create stuff from scratch. Jerk rub, blackening spice, things like that are prevalent with salt. Like it's one of the first ingredients in almost all of those major spices. And we needed to change that because people like the flavors, but they can't deal with the health issues that are allowed in a lot of these spices. So I started to make my own blends and it became a habit. I started to do it in a Wyndham place back in Illinois, and it just carried with me as a habit. And it developed into, in 2019, something I can produce and sell to everybody, and they can have restaurant quality meals at home.
Nice, nice. And the labels, you guys, it's like, paleo diet and gluten-free and all of the real labels are on here. You've got on this one with Poultry Lab, there's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven different labels on here. So I like that and recyclable. So tell us a little bit about the sustainability of the container.
Yes, so everything is made with recycled products, recycled labels, recycled bottles, and they are recyclable as well. So once you're done with it, it's not going to cause any environmental damage. It's got a smaller carbon footprint for the business, and we're very excited and proud of that.
Yeah, that's important. It really is. I'm really glad. It's important to me and most of my listeners as well. So I love that you do that. The other thing is, I like how you did just on the side, it says what it's good for as far as health wise. So this one says digestion, heart and blood recovery, and then for brains too. So we're not making any claims, right? So we can't make any claims, but it gives you an idea, at least kind of some guidance. What is this one good for?
Right, like the blue zones are proving that eating a lot of straight up ingredients without all the additives and preservatives in them, you'll live a longer, healthier life. And it's not about curing anything by any means. It's about contributing to a healthier lifestyle overall by making small changes.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So before I definitely want to get into sodium with you. But before we do that, tell us more about like how many of these blends do you have? Where can people get them?
Okay, you can go to spicecareplus.com or chefrobertocruz.com and shop spices there. You can find the whole selection there. We have 10 spices and 9 salts available. And then we
Okay.
available as well for digestion, for heart health, for cognitive function, and for recovery.
So 10 spice blends and nine salt blends. That's a lot. Wow. That's fantastic. I love that. So you really, you guys, you get to choose. You get to look through, see what's important for you. Think about the dishes that you cook on a regular basis. That's kind of what I did when I looked them over. I was like, what do I normally go for in my kitchen? What are the spices I normally grab? And then try a few. But like I said, these are really good gifts because what more could you possibly want to give somebody than the gift of health? And then everyone loves food. So, and you don't even need to cook. Like with this one, the citrus parmesan, people could just sprinkle this on afterwards. That's what,
Okay,
I've been doing with many of them is like after it's done, I sprinkle it on for extra flavor. So,
put it on our pizza. We love it on our pasta. It's just great to have. Even with a little bit
yeah.
of pasta, just a little bit of Parmesan, and it's lovely.
Yeah. And now I am officially going to put this in the refrigerator. Yeah, that's just the Parmesan one, which makes sense. I just didn't think about it. But now the thing near and dear to me. I talk to a lot of my clients about sodium intake, and we measure it and we find out they're like, it's so surprising to them. They're like, I watch my salt. Why is it so high? And just to give everyone a main reference point, in general, we want to be 1,500 milligrams and below on the sodium per day. And as we age, we actually want to be 1,200 or lower. So that's important. And then I do some DNA testing too. So some people are genetically predisposed. If you happen to have that gene where it's a problem, well, unfortunately, you have to have even less because it hits you a little bit harder. So sodium's a big deal. What we find a lot of times is it's hidden in many of the spices, just like this is the reason why Chef did this. Is it's in the marinades. Like if you went to the store and got like a pork loin, it was already soaking in this marinade. Guess what? Right? Do you find that a lot, Chef? Is like people are wondering about the sodium. Oh, why am I getting so much sodium? I didn't realize where it's hidden.
Yeah, they don't. And the problem is, unfortunately, not all of us read our food when we pick it up. I mean, and I encourage everybody to read your food, inform yourself on what you're putting in your mouth and feeding your family. You'll find a lot of these proteins are fortified with chicken broth or sodium or something injected with something. Make sure it's just what you're looking for in there and that you're eating what you're shopping for because you deserve to get what you're paying for.
Yes, absolutely. And so that's what I'm hearing a lot is people are like, I'm not adding salt to my meals. And I was like, well, what are you getting? And, whether we call them processed foods or processed foods, which is the term that is big right now, if you're buying something and you're not getting in its whole food form and then cooking it, guess what? It's processed. If you're not doing that process, it's processed. Even some people say, well, what about those little rice boxes, that already has the herbs and spices? Don't get them. They're full of so much sodium. Canned soup is full of sodium. We want to really do as much that farm to table, whole food to table as possible. So you have made a concerted effort, I see here, about the sodium. So tell us a little bit more about why this was important to you.
This became important to me very young. I live in a large family, and we've had, like every family, people have fallen ill to hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes. I've lost people near and dear to me, like most of the people out there listening, have lost to these diseases as well. And you feel helpless watching these people, strong people in your family, become weaker and weaker and having nothing to do about it. And I wished I could have done something to help them. And even though this may not help them, may not have helped them, I know it would have made their lives more comfortable and more beneficial. They would have got a lot more out of life if they were able to try these things. And I know I can do this for everybody now. So it really inspired me to make things that will make great meals that people can feel safe with eating, no guilt. All the flavor, none of the guilt is our motto. And we just want to feel good about what we're eating and what we're serving our families and the memories we're creating together.
Yes. So all the flavor, none of the guilt. Did you guys hear that? That's the truth. So it sounds like this is a legacy for you, like leaving a legacy of like, just it's a passion project. I'm hearing that as well. Along with being a private chef, that people can now go ahead and take care of themselves in their own home, in their own kitchen.
Absolutely. I want everybody to eat well. It doesn't matter what level you want to eat on. If you want to cook yourself a grilled cheese or make yourself some spaghetti and meatballs, we want to make it fantastic for you and be there in the kitchen with you.
Yeah, that's so good. So, how can our listeners, we know now where to get the spices, right? How can they find and follow you? What's the best way?
You can find us on Facebook or Instagram. You can follow Chef Roberto Cruz or you can follow Spice Cure Plus. They're both on there, two separate sites, but they will both lead to the same place. And all points lead to chefrobertocruz.com. And you can find all of our products there.
Fantastic. And again, I really encourage you guys to try this out, and they do make really good gifts. So thank you for listening. If you like this podcast, give it a thumbs up. Please share it with a few other people. And until next time, go out and live your life with vitality. Thank you.
Bye bye.